Hey everyone, Saf Tech Reviews back here with another video, and this video was really to compare the Fold 6 to the X Fold 3 Pro. So I'm gonna highlight the differences, what the Fold 6 does better, what the X Fold 3 Pro does better, and kind of summarize and talk through all of this if you were considering purchasing, this device over that one. So for starters, the inner and outer screens, the X Fold 3 Pro does it better. There's no question about it. I mean, if I, for example, compare the brightness, this is full brightness on the Z Fold 6, and this is not even full on the X Pro 3, and you can see there's a very big difference between both. So if you care a lot about outdoor use, this phone is better. Now, in terms of usability, the Z Fold 6 is better because the software is far more optimized on the Z Fold 6. There's no glitches, it's easy to install, there's no bloatware, and this is the Chinese ROM version, so even after removing all the bloatware, there are some things you can't remove, and I mentioned this in another video, like for example the payment app is a Chinese app, whereas you won't run into any of these issues on the Z Fold 6. The notifications are far more reliable on the Z Fold 6, even after tweaking the settings on the X Fold 3 Pro. It does, for some reason, still randomly miss notifications. When it works well, but a lot of the times it just doesn't work as well as you'd expect. So in that regard, I think the Samsung definitely comes on top. In terms of camera, between both of these phones, I mean, again, I think the X Fold 3 Pro is better, but and I can give a nice little example here. Let me pull up an image actually that I have taken on both phones exactly at the same level of zoom, and also with the exact same scene, and kind of show you what it looks like on both here. So again, this is the exact same photo taken on both phones, and if you could see here, I hope the camera captures it, but you could see here on the X Fold, look at the detail, look at the text, and then look at the Z Fold. It's very blurry, and it's not that clear, and there's of course a lot more detail and depth, and I mean there's really no comparison. The camera on the X Fold 3 for the most part does a far better job than the one on the Z Fold 6, but I'll be honest, don't let that completely define your experience, because again, between both phones, after using both, I honestly do prefer the Z Fold 6, and it's really because of the software, and I'll get more into that. But another reason, right, another important topic, is the battery. The X Fold 3 Pro nails the battery compared to the Z Fold 6. So while actually using both, the battery life isn't all that different between both. Let me be honest. The Z Fold 6 is very optimized that it actually gets battery life close to the X Fold 3 Pro, even though the X Fold 3 Pro does have a much larger battery. But where the X Fold 3 Pro shines is the charge speed. This phone charges from 0 to 100 in like 30 minutes, which is kind of crazy. The Z Fold 6 takes about an hour and 20 minutes to fully charge. So again, if that time saving is important for you, keep in mind this will probably be the better phone, but for the most part, I don't think that is painting the complete picture here of using both of these phones. So when you use the Fold 6, you'll realize it's very snappy. Like you'll see if I open my notification menu here with the animations off, it really feels almost immediate on this phone. Like it's actually kind of crazy how fast it is. But on something like this, even with all the animations disabled, it's like, okay, like let's open the notifications. Like it takes some time. It's kind of trying to mimic an iPhone with its animations, and I feel like it's kind of taking its time. But if we open something like Play Store on both, and I don't really like these comparisons because they're not super, fair, because all phones today are kind of fast. But you'll realize that the Fold 6 is also a bit faster. It scrolls a ton faster than the X Fold 3. You'll see like the scroll speed by default is set to be super quick. Here it's like taking a bit of time, to scroll from one menu to the other. So this is something, again, I noticed between both. Similarly, if we were to close apps on both of these phones, you'll realize in the closing app speed, you saw that the Fold 6 is like that much quicker. And in terms of that, the RAM management was one of my biggest pain points with the X Fold 3 Pro. I like it when I have stuff open on my Fold 6 and even a day or two later I will open the app and it is still in the same exact state I left it in. Nothing needs to reload. On this phone, surprisingly, even though I believe it has more RAM on paper, I think it's 16 gigs, it keeps reloading apps. There's some aggressive like RAM management going on with the X Fold 3 Pro, and I hate that. I hate opening an app and like sometimes I'll open something on Instagram and I'll be like, oh, I'll watch this in an hour, and then I open it again and I continue, where I left off on my Fold 6. When I open this, it reloads everything. So, take that for what it is, but I really did not like that about the X Fold 3. In terms of usability of the front screen, again, this one is easier to use, but again, it comes with a Chinese keyboard. You have to change that to like Microsoft Swift key, blah blah blah. Whereas the native keyboard in the Z Fold 6 works a lot better. It has built-in features that are super easy to use. Has things like fixing your tone and AI features that it can do, which you could do with this if you install something like Microsoft Swift key, but it's not native. And the other thing that was frustrating is a lot of the time it would try to switch me out of Microsoft Swift key. Like if I open an app or something, it would suddenly open the Vivo keyboard again. And I'm like, I'm just trying to use Swift key, even though I set it in the default. And the default app uses in here are really buried down in the settings. So if you go to default here, default apps, you'll see that you can change them here. And even though I changed this one to Swift keyboard, it still will randomly open the Vivo one. I can show you here, it looks like this, and there are some Chinese keys at the bottom of it, so you can't really remove them. I do find it kind of strange that even though I set the phone to English, that it will still pull Chinese randomly. And then some other stuff is you can't remove something like the V App Store, which is the Chinese store on this phone, because it is actually tied to the APK installer on this phone. So I really don't like that. I don't like it when phones kind of enforce apps like that you can't remove or install. So that part for me was a little frustrating, to be frank with you, on this phone. Now another thing is don't forget, this phone does come with the S Pen, and it's really cool that you could take notes on the inner screen. But moving on, let's actually talk about those inner screens, right? So on the Fold 6 you have a nice beautiful screen here, and on the Vivo Fold you also have a nice big screen, but it's a lot bigger and definitely a lot more flat. So if you kind of look at it from the top, it's more of a straight line, versus on the Fold 6 it kind of has an angle to it, which kind of shows the crease a little more. So there's no question about it that the Vivo's inner screen is definitely better, but the Fold 6 offers you that nice seamless experience where it kind of hides the camera by showing some screen pixels over it, whereas in this one you have the camera cut out up there and you can't really hide it, so to speak. That's another thing. There is a one-handed mode on the Vivo and I could not activate it. I've tried to do everything, it wouldn't work. On the Samsung it's quite simple. You just swipe on the bottom corner, right, and then it will switch into that one-handed mode for you. So you could see that here, and you can actually use the foldable, this huge screen with just one hand quite easily. So again, usability is really the key here between both of these, and this is kind of why I keep touching on that, because the Fold seems to be far more usable. Now in terms of unlock speed between both of these phones, you could see here, if I compare it, I mean, again, the Fold 6 seems to be faster. It's a physical key, and on this one it's a sensor. So let's try that again, and I'm just waking the screen up, and 1, 2, 3, click here. Oh, I forgot to wake the screen on this one, but let me retry that, sorry. So here we go, and you see, like, again, the Fold 6 is a lot faster on that screen unlock versus the X Fold 3. It also has a much smaller form factor, which I really appreciate. Now in terms of the hinge, this one actually reminds me of the very first Fold. So on the Vivo X3 Pro, when you open it, at one point it will just snap and open, But on the Fold 6, it's a very tight, this one at any point, right? It's just holding throughout. So this is something that I find, you know, the hinge quality on the Fold 6 is way better than what you get on the Vivo X Fold 3. And it actually has dust resistance, whereas this one does not. So I mean, I'm trying to really give everyone a good opinion, you know, between both of these phones. But really, what it really narrows down to is you get a much more polished experience with the Z Fold 6. You get better AI features. You don't get a better, you know, charge up speed battery. You don't get a better screen, and you don't get a better camera necessarily. That's not to say that they're bad. They're just not as good as what you get on the X Fold 3. But to be honest with you, after having used both of these phones, I found myself going back quickly to the Z Fold 6 because the software is what makes or breaks the experience at the end of the day. And this is one of the reasons why the iPhone is so successful, that even though it has hardware that on paper isn't better than the competitors, a lot of people use it because of the software experience. It is so polished, right? That there are barely any glitches, bugs, issues. So on a day-to-day usage, you would prefer to use that. Whereas I can't say that for the X Fold 3 Pro with Origin OS, at least at this point. If in the future they make updates and, you know, like polish the experience a little more, and you know, fix these things and maybe allow you to tweak other settings, I think it would make a really big difference. But one thing I really you know, found frustrating was just some things you cannot remove, you cannot uninstall, and then the other things is it just doesn't feel snappy as you're using it. You have to go into the settings, change your notifications to make sure you get the notifications from all your apps, and you have to do that on a per app basis, otherwise you won't get the notifications for it. You don't need to do this here. You need to change every setting for every app to have it run at a higher screen refresh rate for every single app, whereas you don't need to do that here. So there is a lot of stuff you need to go in and tweak and fix and, you know, get you know, working on the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, that you will find the majority of the time you are fixing things rather than using the phone. Whereas here, you know, on the Z Fold 6, every, you know, once in a blue moon you might encounter a glitch and, you know, you think, okay, how can I fix this one thing? So yeah, I really hope this video helps. I think this phone had a lot of potential, but for now I will be sticking to the Z Fold 6, even though it has, you know, an inferior camera, slower charging battery. At the end of the day, it delivers an experience that is far better and far more polished than the X Fold 3 Pro. And there are two more important points that I want to touch on that highlight the premium quality that you get with the Z Fold 6. And this is something that you don't see in videos. It's more tangible once you have both of these in your hand. The first one is the haptics or vibration sensor. On the Fold 3, it is very precise and it's very like strong vibration. It makes you feel like you're holding a high quality phone. So when you're typing, when you get a message or whatever and it vibrates, it really has like a very nice feel to it, a very nice motor. On the X Fold 3 Pro, it feels like an old, you know, vibration motor from those older phones, and it just doesn't have that much kick to it. And I know this might seem small, but it actually changes the overall experience. And I'm sure if you've used an iPhone, you could tell how well they build those vibration motors. The other thing was the speakers. So on the Z Fold 6, I mean, they are way better than what you get on the X Fold 3 Pro. On the X Fold 3 Pro, they actually sound tinny. They're not that loud, you know, and they're not that great. Here you get very full volume, very loud speakers, very clear. So this is something that this phone needs to improve on. In terms of features that, you know, one phone has that the others doesn't, in terms of hardware features, this phone does come with a nice little switch here on the right where you can switch it from silent mode here or volume mode here, which is kind of a neat touch. whereas the Fold 3 does come with that S Pen functionality where you can take notes on the inner screen and things like that. So that's kind of cool. And if you notice, this one does vibrate on the desk while this one does not, but I normally use my phones in my hand, so this does not really bother me. All right, so all in all, if you are aware of all these things, you know, and you want to jump into this experience of using the X Fold 3 Pro, you know, go ahead. That's totally fine. If you can't stand having to fix things and tweak software and mess around with things and all of that, and just want a phone that works and works well and has a ton of features and a ton of AI features that are actually very useful, you know, like their circle search, which if you click and hold here at the bottom, you can search anything. So if I circle this Facebook icon, it will tell me, you know, what that is and search it automatically on Google for me. So that's something that's super cool, which you don't get with this other phone. Or if I, for example, just wanted to extract text really quickly, I can click this and, you know, extract from here and copy text very quickly on the Fold 6. So over here, you can't really do the same. You have to first click here and screenshot, and then after you screenshot, you need to go here and then save it, and then go to the gallery, and then in your album gallery, you need to open it, and then you need to copy the text off of it, and you need to hit copy. It's just so, and this is my point. Like, you see this, it's like asking, hey, Vivo's IME Pro keyboard wants to access stuff and agree to it, and it does this a lot, which, like, this is my exact point. There is none of that with the Fold 6, and what you end up discovering is it's just, it eats up time in your day, you know, when you have to keep tweaking and altering this. Again, I'm not trying to deter anyone from buying any phone or preferring any phone over the other. Again, I think they're both great phones, but you need to be aware of what you're getting into when you go for this experience or you want to purchase one of these phones. They're both expensive phones, but at the end of the day, this one is far more polished than the X Fold 3 Pro. So another thing is just something that's interesting in their control center here. What's actually enabled is dark, which I do find very strange. So if the Wi-Fi is on, it will darken the icon instead of making it light. I don't completely understand that. I would think it should be the opposite. You know, like, this is Bluetooth off, and then if you click it, you know, I think when it darkens the icon, it means it's on. I don't know. I found that very, very odd, that it's kind of like the opposite, or maybe not with the, okay, for Bluetooth it's different, sorry, but for something like airplane mode, off would be this lit and on would be dark. Wi-Fi on is this dark, but on is, you know, it's the inverse, which is so strange. Like, why is it that way? So again, it's like these tiny things that I find very, you know, odd in this experience. But again, this aim of this video was to help someone that's choosing between both these phones before, you know, make this big purchase. They're both expensive phones, and I want you to be aware of what you get with either one. I hope this video helps. Please like and subscribe, and look forward to more videos that I'll be releasing on the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.